Welcome to Conquering Chronic Illness. My name is Teresa. I'm a woman, wife, and mother conquering chronic illness. And today we're going to talk about finding a job when your whole body is fighting you. Hey, could you do me a favor? Subscribe, and I'll see you in the comment section down below. I have a job. For a little while, I had two jobs. And I am going to talk about how specifically to find a job when you are chronically ill. Because I think there are some considerations that have to be made and some things that you have to prioritize if you're going to work on the job as you manage a chronic illness. Because the whole thing with chronic illnesses is these are going to be with you. You may be in remission, but remission is not a cure. Remission simply means, and I'll put the definition here, but it means that your symptoms are zero or no longer affect your quality of life. Even if they're not zero, maybe like me, I have some aches and pains. I don't know if I'm technically in remission, but like I have some aches and pains, but it does not affect my quality of life. Quite honestly, most of the time I don't notice it unless somebody asks me what my level of pain is, and I'm like, okay, 3, right? So that is what people with chronic illnesses mostly shoot for, right? Remission. There'll be some people online who say you can cure your chronic illness with this diet, but if you took away the diet and the chronic illness came back, it's not cured. You were just in remission. It doesn't matter how you get to 0 symptoms or symptoms that don't affect your chronic illness. It's remission. If the symptoms come back, if you would stop doing the thing. Anyway, so first thing, finding a job with a chronic illness. Honestly, guys, get into remission. It is unrealistic to be able to expect to maintain sanity and to maintain, honestly, your health if you are actively fighting through a flaring chronic illness while trying to work a full-time or even a part-time job. Like, you would need to be in remission or working towards remission or have your symptoms managed in a way that you could actually function, because with constant flares or with illnesses that are constantly infecting your day-to-day life, adding a job to that, it's going to negatively affect your health, 1. And then 2, you're not going to be able to effectively do the job. I recognize the level of privilege that comes with that statement. With that being the first step, I recognize the level of privilege with that. This is my suggestion. I understand that that is not attainable for everyone, because in order to get into remission, you would either need to be able to, like, you have to have the health insurance to go to the doctors and the specialists to get the medicines and the therapies and the advice to get to remission, right? If you have the health insurance, you have to have the money to use the health insurance, because there are co-pays, there are deductibles that have to be met. There are medicines that one of my medicines costs $1,100 for a 30-day supply without my insurance. So I understand what I am saying by I understand the privilege that comes with that. Even if you decide you want to go the natural route, like, organic food costs a lot of money. Like, I tried Wall's Protocol, which is like heavy vegetable, heavy organic meats, red meats. Like, that is not cheap. Like, that doubled my grocery budget for the week, right? And so any way you go to get to remission costs money, it's time, it's having the people and support around you to care enough to help you through it. That is a privilege. I think it is probably the best first step that you can take if you're chronically ill and you are trying to get a job. I understand if you can't wait that long and you have to do the best that you can. But something to keep in mind, stressing your body when you are flaring, when you're chronically ill, will only make the flow worse. It's something that when you're chronically ill, you know, and it is so frustrating when you don't have the help to get to wellness and to get to the health, level of health and that you need to get to do the things that you need to get to. Like, people still expect you to do the things that you need to do in a body that is fighting you, right? So try your best to get to remission or to get to symptoms that are manageable to cope with on a daily basis so that you're not hurting yourself by putting something extra on your plate. Number 2, before you even start looking for a job, figure out how much you're going to be able to take on, right? When I was looking for my first job, I applied for this job probably February. Honestly, I was desperate. We needed more money. All of our family goals were going out the window because everything was just so expensive at the time. That was back when gas was like $4.50, almost $5 a gallon in Louisiana. It might not have been that high, but I think it was. And so we were literally not going anywhere because our gas budget almost tripled. Our grocery budget doubled, but like our money decreased. And so we were just like, well, I guess we'll just stay at the house. And so I'm like, I have to have some sort of job, right? But I knew at that time that I physically could not handle. Did I apply in February? It might have been in March. I knew that at that time I physically could not handle working on the job, like relying on my body to get up out of the bed at a specific time every single day, put on clothes and leave the house whenever I had to go to work, do the job, and then come home and be the mom and wife. It was not happening. Like, I knew that I physically could not do that. So I was like, what can you do? I can work from home over the phone. I don't have to put on pajamas. I don't have to go anywhere. And I can probably set my own schedule. So I started looking for call center jobs. I found one at a research lab for a university in our area. It took months for them to like get back and actually start the process. And once they started the process, I think it was like a month and a half before I actually started working. And by that time I had found another job, which is neither here nor there, and was feeling better so I could do more. But that job specifically was 4 hours of me sitting and dialing numbers, and most of the time nobody picking up. I could do that. Did it pay a ton? No, but it was something. And I was honest with myself about what I could physically do. At that time, it wasn't much. And I was able to quit that job because later, after a couple months of taking a couple different medications and getting to what I'm thinking is close to remission, and we'll have to see what my lab results say, I am able to do more. And so when the opportunity came for me to be able to apply for a job where I needed to do more on the job to be able to do it, like, I was able to do it. And that brings me to the third one. The second one, be honest with what kind of job you'll be able to do. Rule number 3, tell people you're looking for a job. And I think this goes for chronically ill and not chronically ill. Goes for everybody. Like, people, like the job that I'm working now, because my sister-in-law knew I was looking for a job, she was like, hey, they're hiring over here. And I got the job literally 48 hours later. And so, yeah, like, tell people what you are looking for, right? Like, she knew that I had some illnesses, and this job was like, it's a flex job, so I go into the office when I need to, and for the most part I work at home. It's mostly over the phone. Like, it is perfect for what my body is going through right now. even a little bit less than what I can do. I could probably do a little bit more. Like if I was forced to go into the office every day, I'm speaking today, I'm having a really good day. I'll eat my words in a week or so. But on this day of me recording this, I could probably do more. It's probably good that I'm not doing more though. But I would not have gotten that job if nobody knew I was looking for a job. And so when you're telling people that you're looking for a job, number two becomes more important because they need to know what type of job you're looking for. I'm not going to be able to work at Walmart. There's nothing wrong with working at Walmart. I'm not going to be able to work at Whole Foods. Whole Foods has great benefits. I thought about it. That would be really helpful because I am chronically ill. I have lots of need to go to the doctor and the benefits would be helpful. But I would have to stand up most of the day, right? I physically can't do that. So that's out for me, right? But knowing that before I let people know that I need a job, I didn't get a whole lot of, hey, well, you could do this job. Actually, I can't do that job because of this. And when you start turning down jobs because they're good jobs, especially when people don't know your situation, or don't understand how your chronic illness affects your body, here in the tab, 5 questions to ask somebody in your life who's chronically ill so you don't say weird things and make them feel like you don't care about them. Especially when people don't understand how your chronic illness affects your body, then they may offer for you to apply to jobs that you don't really aren't a good fit for you, right? Number 4, be honest and upfront with your potential employer about what you are able to do. Caveat, you don't have to tell them why. I was when I started working the job that I'm in now, I specifically asked, can I work these hours 10 to 6? Because I knew, 1, I had to pick up my kid, and 2, I sometimes can't get out of the bed in the morning, right? But I'm better in the afternoon. And the 2 o'clock hour would be when I need to pick up my kid, so that could be my lunch hour, and I could work in a time frame that best suits me. Did I tell them why I needed to work from 10 to 6? No. I just needed to know, and they were honest. That's fine. Honestly, I could work from, as long as the job get done. I don't really care what time I need to be available at certain times, but as long as the job gets done, right? I'm immunocompromised. When I go into the office, I wear a mask. And for this specifically, I told them, because we're still living in COVID era, no matter what anybody tells you, but those of us who are chronically ill, COVID is not over for us. I don't know that it would ever be. The rest of the world has gone back to normal. They're not going to work wearing masks for the most part. I always have a KN95 mask on my face when I go into the office, and I make sure that they know, I'm not paranoid. I'm immunocompromised, and they're really good. My office is really great about being like, hey, such and so had COVID. They were in the office at this day and this time. Not such and such. They don't say names, but somebody was in the office on this day at this time. They had COVID, and if you were here and you have symptoms, you may need to get tested. Also, the office is closed. We have to clean up because somebody was here in COVID. They're awesome with it. They're awesome with, I was exposed or may have been exposed to someone who had COVID. My parents, we went to see them for a weekend, came back on Monday. Dad's sick on Tuesday. He has COVID. Dadgummit. I went to the office on Monday, so I had to call them, email them and be like, hey, they're really good about that. And so being upfront about what you need, always important. What you can do, always important. The why, not so much. If they ask you, they can't. Technically, legally, they cannot ask you about your health. There is a form that you fill out, and you have to fill out any pre-existing conditions on there. It is not illegal not to list your pre-existing conditions, but it does put you at legal obligation if for some reason you are injured and it's specifically linked to the illness that you have and your employer doesn't know, it's not their fault because you didn't let them know, and it may not be their fault otherwise. Or if you feel like you're being discriminated against because of your disability or because of your chronic illness and you don't list it on that disclosures form, you don't really have a leg to stand on, just make sure that you're upfront and honest about what you need, what you can do, what they can expect from you. And number 5, this is the toughest one. Be prepared to walk away if it's not a good fit. All money ain't good money. I don't care how broke you are. Putting yourself in a situation where you're putting your health at risk, when you're the stress of the job is causing you to flare, or you're putting yourself in a situation where you know you are going to do a bad job. I don't know how good that is for you in the long run. You might be able to get a check or two out of it before you get fired, but like, how good is that for you in the long run? If you are just looking to pay rent for that much, I concede it might be just as good as it needs to be. But if you are looking for a job and a career, someplace where you can work long term, like I'm not at 38, I'm not interested in job hopping at this juncture in my life. Like, I would like to get somewhere and sit down somewhere, right? And that is difficult to do if you are constantly overextending yourself and putting yourself into situations where you know you're not going to be a good fit for that job. It's okay to be like, no, this is a good job, it's me, or this is not a good job. Like, some jobs just are not good positions. Some employers are not understanding enough, and you can kind of get a feel for that right off the bat. Part of the reason that I quit the part-time job that I had was the job itself did not lend for the considerations that I needed, right? And so the job was not set up to where all of the flexibility that could have been flexed out of the job was flexed, and the flexibility that I needed, they weren't going to be able to offer. So there wasn't no point in beating a dead horse, or what's another analogy? Well, I said it. It's all right. We know we don't beat horses. But yeah, that's my 2 cents on finding a job. Let me know down in the comments down below if you think any of this will be helpful. I know, like I said, some of the sentiments that I've expressed in some of these points are riddled with privilege, right? It takes into account that you have the health care support and the family support, and you're in a financial situation where you can make best case scenario choices, but these are best case scenario options. And you grown folks, if you gotta do what you gotta do, you gotta do what you gotta do. But if you have a choice, I think some of these steps will help you. I'll see you in the comment section down below and in the next video.